Okay. Hello, everybody. You're welcome to Real Talk. I'm so excited that you guys are here. I feel blessed that all of you turned out and more are coming in. I'm just going to give you a brief introduction. Today, I want to spend more time in this topic. I know that this is a topic that a lot of people are really have on their mind. So just going to do a brief introduction, and I'll share my screen. Okay. Hold on. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. Yeah, so this is Real Talk. I'll just want to tell you a bit about Real Talk. Real Talk is a platform that seeks to create, Real Talk seeks to create a platform where people can speak freely and honestly about several topics as regards life, faith, and love. Right? We hope that everyone will possibly learn and be better from the conversations. We just want a place where people can come, be real, just like the name says. I am the host, iDeal, and I'm the host of this. I'm a Christian, and I will guide the conversations. I will give perspective on issues discussed and where we need a context, because some topics will need context. The gospel will be our context. All right, our topics in Real Talk are to be hot, unconventional, relevant, and possibly current, but most importantly, we want these topics to be able to help you. And we intend that this will be on the second and the fourth Saturdays of the month. This is the second one. Also, we have a link here if you want to be getting invites on when and the topics. You want reminders, please just fill that link. We want to also hear from you what topics you would like us to discuss. So this is the format for this edition. Every edition has its format. So we have 5 panelists today. They will give their opinions on factual experiences. Also, we're going to have participants or spectators, and they may be allowed to speak or direct questions to the panelists at some point during the event. I, as the host, will be, I am allowed to further probe answers just to seek for clarity. And also the panelists answering the question is allowed to ask for clarity of the questions asked, okay? We hope that our panelists and our participants will maintain decorum and mutual respect as they express themselves. I hope we all have good internet connections for engagement details, and that your backgrounds are noiseless to help a near seamless flow. Also, your mics are to be muted except when you speak, apart from my panelists, because I don't want to have to go through the back and forth of unmuting the mics for the panelists. So I prefer if my panelists have their mics, except you know that your background is really noisy, then I will understand. You can, because this is being recorded as well. So we hope that these conversations will be real and honest. So once again, thank you for being here. Like I said, if you fill the form, we'll let you know upcoming events and topics. I will be glad to get your feedback on every edition and ideas for hot, unconventional, and helpful topics. This edition, Nigeria, to leave or to stay, we want to discuss the pros, the cons, and everything in between. The truth is, if you've been in Nigeria for the past few years, you would have noticed that there has been a mass exodus of people. Even those who are doing well still want to leave Nigeria and get their papers. But at the same time, we know that, truth be told, everyone cannot live in Nigeria. And even those of us living in Nigeria, you have family, you have friends. I just believe that if a solution cannot be applied to everybody, then that may not just be the solution. But there are pros, there are cons, there are everything in between about living and staying in Nigeria. And we want to help us, unpack what we think, because I know everybody on this call, whether you agree or not, you must have thought about leaving Nigeria for one reason or the other. And some of you also feel the need to stay, but this will just help you, help to guide you in that thinking when you think about it. So regardless of whether you want to leave or whether you want to stay, I think it's important that we look at the pros, we look at the cons, what are the advantages, what are the things that should guide us, right? So it's time to meet our panelists, right? We have some amazing people here today, and these are people that I respect and people that I love, and I thank them with the short notice. They decided to jump on this talk show to contribute from their experience. So while they introduce themselves, they'll tell us their names, they'll tell us where they are, and if they want to tell us what they do, that's fine. But they will tell us, they will answer the big question of today: Nigeria, to leave or to stay? You have to be somewhere. You have the panelists. You can't be not sure. You'll tell us why, and you'll tell us why. So
why not?
I'm going to start with my Oga. Buddy, please.
My name is King Badi Akimiwa, King Badi for short. I believe that Nigerians, we all can leave. I believe we should stay, and I have my reasons for staying. I'm an entrepreneur, and everything about me and everything inside me believe in people that we must stay. So we should stay, and I'll tell you why. You know, if we are going to check from the medieval age, if we are going to check from the scriptures, there are some people that left. You know, it's not today that we're going to be having issues of people leaving their country for greener pastures. The Joseph, the family, the Jacob that left and eventually went to meet his brother. They went to meet their brother, the brothers that left. You know, and so to talk about Ruth, the case of Ruth actually is my own, is where I'm going to pitch on today, to say that Ruth left for the greener pastures, and then she came back to see some men already made, and then she had to just glean from under the man that already made in Nigeria, because she left and they stayed to grow. I would say Nigeria, to grow the land, and then she came to meet them. The likes of Boaz already big because the state. So the same way, I believe that some people are saying some opportunities have opened up again, you know, because of the borders that were shut. We have been able to see that we could survive on our own with what we have. We've been sold a lie that we cannot survive before now. That when the borders were shut, we now realize that there are some things we could do for ourselves, or we could do by ourselves. Many people could not believe that Nigeria could embrace online schooling. Well, many people could believe that Nigerians could work from home. We only believe that maybe the multinationals could do these things. But today, virtually every child that must go to school, I'm not saying that the government schools, that we still have some shortfalls, just like we have in the rest of the world as well. But some in Nigeria, we have, most, for example, my children resume school, and most of them, the way they adapted so easily, you know, to use of the system and they communicate freely. In fact, they are already being prepared for what is to come. I'm sure we won't even go back. So there are several reasons I can tell, even business-wise, because I'm a businessman, I can tell you for real that there are some businesses that opened up because some of us stayed. We now saw some things that we could do that everyone could jump on. For example, take the sanitizer. You know, we now locally produce sanitizers because none came in. Even those that we were running to before, they had nothing to give us. Had nothing because they are shortfall. They don't have it enough. So we had to run to them we had to make sanitizers from within. Hand wash, nose mask. So all these things came, and I can tell you for real, I can tell you firsthand that SOM jump out from people and fast-track their certificates to ensure that they can start producing. Let me tell you, when the borders become open, they will not, I'm sure they will not allow importation of those particular items that we already have SOM certificates on. And that, because we, as much as possible, we want to retain the few money, the dollars that we have already in circulation, because we are short of it. We are short of it. You know, we either we like it or yes, we are almost a dollarized nation. We are almost a dollarized economy. If anything happens to us, it's Nigeria against dollar. It just have to go up. And some of us have even predicted that the naira will move up to 1,000 or go forbid. But the reality, why is that happening? And to make that, why is that happening is because we depend solely on imports. We don't even have anything that we could export. But today, it is different too. Even when we talk about insecurity. We don't have guys that will just wake up one day and then begin to shoot everybody. We know we have Boko Haram, we know where they are, we can deal with them. But nobody can just wake up one day and begin to shoot anybody and say, because I'm not feeling happy, I don't like his face, and just shoot. Let me just keep quiet here.
You want to finish this topic?
Yeah, I know we have X-Men. Let me keep quiet here.
Well done. I like that.
I believe in Nigeria. So
awesome. Thank you, sir. I'm going to go to Marina. So this was we just need like an introduction. Marina, over to you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Marina Iyeme Eteng. I am currently in Saskatoon, Canada. I moved out of Nigeria about 4 years ago. I currently work in HR and I'm a YouTube content creator. Team to stay or to leave? I'm already out, so I am team to leave. I believe in Nigeria. I'm just doing it from afar. Yeah. Honestly, I can give you, there are many reasons why it got to the point where I knew I had to leave. I'll give you the first one. Marriage made me stateless in Nigeria. So if you're very familiar with how the Federal Character Commission operates, it's just the organization that ensures that different parts of the country are appropriately represented in the Federal Civil Service. I am originally from Delta State. My husband is from Cross River State. There were a number of jobs that I tried to apply for that I could not apply on the allocation of Delta State because I was no longer considered a Deltan. I could also not access those jobs on the basis of Cross River State because I was not born Cross Riverian. So my only offense is that I fell in love and married a man who was away from the part of the country that I'm from. I was no longer Deltan. I was not fully accepted as Cross Riverian. Where did that leave me? So no, to leave all the way. That was one of the many reasons, but that was the first one.
Yeah, I like that. You started from home. Your reason is from home first. Quickly, we're going to jump to my dear friend, Tombari.
Okay, my name is Dr. Tombari Zabe. I am in South Sudan at the moment. I work in this kind of fragile context spaces. And I work with UNICEF and into development and humanitarian work. So for me, it's not really as simplistic as to leave or to stay. I would have preferred a fourth option because many people have seen Nigeria and then the West that is better than Nigeria. I've actually seen a not so good part of the world that is a lot behind Nigeria and then the West and all of them in between. So as much as there are a lot of challenges and stuff, I've seen the parts of the world that is a lot, somewhere even behind 1960 Nigeria or farther than that. So in the end, I am leaving not because Nigeria, not because of these myriad of issues, but for some kind of stability in my own ecosystem. Because at some point you just want a system that can unite your family, and I'm married now. Being apart is not exactly. We'll go into all the of the details when we get into the meat of the conversation, because of course when I look at the splits between the subtopics that are given, when we x-ray these issues, we find that it's easy to lean on things are better here and all that, and then you find that there are things like family and culture and environment and all that there is a better ecosystem back home. So as we drive the conversation, we'll present these various issues. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. I think that, Tombari, you'll be able to really help people know why they can stay in Nigeria, because if you can be working and living in South Sudan, which you say it's far behind Nigeria, then probably there is some reason that can drive that conversation. All right, next we have for an introduction and to tell us, we have Onome.
Hi everybody, good morning from here. Okay, my name is Onome and I live currently in Alberta, Shell Park in Alberta, and I left Nigeria for a lot of reasons, but this I have just one word because that's how it affects me personally, and that word is opportunity.
So what did they take like now?
Right?
Go ahead, Onome.
Okay, and that word is opportunity. I've been here for just, should I say, just a year and about 2 months. And the opportunities that I never got in Nigeria, both when it comes to jobs and to honing my talents, in just a year and 2 months, I've had probably not more platforms, I'll say, but I actually started a project, like about 3 weeks ago, and it's running faster, than that I could imagine. And that's a project that I've always wanted to do since I was a teenager. I never got the opportunity. I didn't get a platform. I didn't get the resources. Probably, I don't know, it might be maybe because of other reasons, but staying here now for a year, and funny enough, I didn't even start, immediately I came. But the way it's unfolding before my eyes is for me, I'll say it's amazing. And I love being here. Although when I came, I had some little complaints, because I love the Nigerian spirit, and I am a people's person. I'm not a conservative person. And of course, that's what we have around. Although when I came at first, it wasn't so, but I've been able to navigate my way, around. And I think I'm enjoying it better right now than some months ago. For now,
Awesome.
I think that's what I'll just say.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Onome. We're gonna move further in this conversation. So I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to look at some various topics, and I'm going to go to Marina. I know that she is for living. I want her to say, so we have these topics here. We intend to discuss the pros and the cons of living and staying under the following headers. So like I said earlier, we would want, like I said, I'm starting with Marina. Those for living, you will take one of these points here or one of these topics and say, why is this, why this encourages you to live. And if Onome wants to add to that topic, she can do so. And if the other guys the guys for staying want to counter it, they can go ahead. One person can go ahead and counter. So over to you, Marina.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about this from the angle of healthcare. I'll be fair, Nigeria has very intelligent doctors. We have very intelligent people who had to study under really adverse conditions. They're very resilient people. The doctors I know in Nigeria, big ups to them any day, anytime. But why healthcare encourages me to leave is because of the quality of the resources that they have to work with. Healthcare in Nigeria is thin. Like, we have so many people who depend on so little resources. And it's almost as if there's almost no structure, there's no accountability, nothing puts people in positions where they have to pay for bad behavior. I'll tell you what I mean. When I was going to have my first child, I was in labor. I went into the hospital and I met a doctor on duty. And he started to ask me questions. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. I think I'm in labor. And he said, is this your first child? I said, yes. And the next thing that the doctor said was, "Ewo." That's what my doctor said, who was going to deliver my child. Me, first time mom, hear a doctor say, "Ewo," that I came to have a baby. That day I thought I was going to die. I was overtaken by fear. The fear was tangible. Honestly, that delivery still traumatizes me till today. When I think about the experience that I went through, having that baby, after my son was born, the post-delivery trauma that I had to go through, because my doctor was stitching me up and he was sleeping. My doctor was sleeping after delivering my child. It was a nurse that was nudging him. In fact, at some point, the nurse had to take over and continue the stitching because I had a tear having a baby. My doctor was sleeping. There was nowhere for me to go to report that. I had my son at 10:30 p.m. The next morning at 7, this doctor had come to discharge me. There was no test to check if I was stable. There was nothing to check if my child was stable. I would have gone home and something could have gone wrong. There was nowhere for me to go and report that. Or is it the time that my mother got diagnosed with cancer sometime in 2016? There was absolutely nowhere in the whole country where we could go to have radiotherapy done for my mom. We eventually had to fly her to Ghana to go and do radiotherapy. Nigeria, giant of Africa, not one radiotherapy machine in the entire country was working. Who do we hold accountable for things like that? The value of the average Nigerian life almost means nothing because people die like chickens and it doesn't seem like people even stop to acknowledge that people die. It was the same thing when I had my daughter. The experience was about the same. It was better the second time because it was a better hospital. I had doctors who had more experience, but there's almost nowhere to go to report things like this. I have friends who have lost their family members on operating table because the power went out while surgery was going on. My mother eventually died of cancer. She went to Ghana, did the radiotherapy, did everything, but the management had to continue in Nigeria. She eventually died. So how do I explain that in an entire country where there are 200 million people, we don't have any machines that are available to take care of situations like that? What is our excuse? Is it because we don't have the money? No. Somebody just decides that their greed, their personal quest for amassing wealth that is meant to enrich people, their greed is more important than the value of the average human life. I see how it is here when something's happening to a child or something happens to somebody is sick. The whole country is at a standstill because one Canadian life means more than what I can explain. I remember sometime I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, there was an accident that happened. A hockey football team, they were traveling from Saskatchewan, where we are, to another province to go and play a game, and there was an accident. About 14, I think between 14 or 16 people died in that accident. The country was in mourning because the value of Canadian life is important. The whole world was talking about that. Till now, I think that's the largest amount of money that's ever been raised in a GoFundMe account because a GoFundMe was set up for the families of those people. And it's still the biggest one that has happened so far. So healthcare in Nigeria we have a lot of work to do there. We have so much work to do there. The rate at which people are dying. So when I see people who testify and dance and I have a baby and it's a big deal, I did not understand why it was such a big deal until my life was hanging on that delivery table. Simply because one doctor thought it was okay for him to make a joke about me coming in to have a baby for the first time. With all the resources things that I need that were unavailable. The next morning, less than 24 hours later, I was going to be discharged. He would have had me go home to postpartum depression, to bleeding that I didn't understand. I suffered postpartum depression after both my children. I did not know where to go to for help. But here, you have a baby, a nurse, you best believe somebody's coming to your house to check up on you. You automatically are signed up for therapy, for lactation classes, just to make sure that your child is breastfeeding right. You get people who come and check on you, counselors checking on you by default. You do not have to ask for that. But for me, that was help that I needed. I did not know where to go for it. So no, that's exactly many other reasons is why I know everybody deserves to experience life outside of Nigeria. Even if you don't want to live there permanently, there is nothing that compares to just living in a system that works, where the basics are in place. And unfortunately, right now, Nigeria will be far from that.
Wow. Interesting. Onome, I don't think you need to add to that. I think
I think I have something to add actually.
Oh, okay, because
it's not long. I agree with everything that she has said, but I just want to add something about the healthcare here that I am personally not satisfied with. And that will be in the case of a doctor, to client or to patient relationship. I've had to leave, a white doctor. When I came, I have actually, met with 2 white doctors on different occasions. So it's not just going to be, one. So for this, I would say the reason I did it, thumbs up, because I love Black doctors, Nigerian doctors. Okay, you are here. There's a day I called you, I think at about 11 p.m. I told you I was just returning from the hospital. Now here, I've had really bad experience, and not just, let me talk for myself. They tend to, talk to you so quickly and so fast. There's no empathy. And that is where I give all thumbs up to Nigerian doctors. I had to leave 2 white doctors, and got a Nigerian doctor as my personal GP. The way it works here. So that empathy, they don't, they just do their thing. No one is gisting with you. Just do your thing, treats you. But Nigerian doctor will see, still talk to you, still try to make you understand, spend, more time with you. I hope it's okay if I speak Pidgin English, because I think
it's okay. It's okay. Fire down.
I like the fact that they spend more time with you. They try to understand, what you are going through, and try to, help you navigate through the system and make you know, what to do. But the white doctor, I might not want to share, my condition, but to just, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. Oh, is there something else that you want? And I'm like, several times I had to is that all? And I'm like, yes, it's all. That's all for today, But when I had to, stop my appointments with those people and got a Nigerian doctor, I have been enjoying it from time. I don't think it's because the guy is nice. I think it's because, they are really intelligent, like Marina said, and then they understand, and, they show that empathy, and nothing beats it, especially when you are in this place where you know nobody.
The Nigerian doctor's experience, is it in Nigeria or there or in Canada?
No, he came here. He's been here for I think between 7-8 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, he has been in the system, so he knows how it works.
Tombori, you're a medical doctor. I don't know if you want to say anything about this topic.
Yeah, I want to say, because, having been on both sides of this medical thing, I mean, as a service provider in Nigeria, and knowing the background story of, on the average, every medical doctor globally is supposed to see 20 patients a day. And before 4 o'clock, I would have clocked 40, and the call is just starting. And I'm supposed to work all night and then close by 4 the next day, probably. So by morning, you are sleep deprived, you have seen more than 100 cases, you are tired, your head is not just working again, and there is still so much undone. And because there is so much undone, you have seniors piling on you to say, look, how come there are 5 patients on the ward that haven't been clocked? There's a surgery and all that. I mean, during my rounds in UPTH back in the day, before you finish giving morning drugs, the afternoon drugs are getting late. And there are emergencies, you have to leave and then run back to the emergency and come back. I mean, it used to be a madhouse, yeah? And so on the grounds of this, I mean, having seen the system in Nigeria, I've worked in Sierra Leone, I've worked in South Sudan, so a part of West Africa, a part of East Africa, and how we had to do everything with literally nothing. I mean, we used to create underwater seals for chest tubes with mayonnaise bottles because the patient would die, literally. And I'm telling you, because if you couldn't help the patient would die. And this one, you are even lucky the patient even came to you. He was going to a witch doctor before. He just pity you, cover hospital. He does not even have transport. So we'll rag ourselves and bring and bring out all the monies in our pockets, try the best you can, do surgeries with torchlight and all. I mean, there are all these challenges here and all that. But, one of the things that this does to the Nigerian doctor is that your surgical skill or your clinical acumen becomes top-notch. Because, I mean,
I love that.
You just have
perspective.
I mean, you produce the best with the rest. So, of course, there is the part where I've also been to a hospital in New Jersey or New York or one of all these places. And indeed, the first time I went there, I was like, oh boy, the hospital be this. I mean, everything happened like clockwork. There was, so, I mean, it was shocking to me because, I mean, in Nigeria, you take the history, you are the nurse, you take vital signs, you are suturing, you are everything. And somebody came for the history, another person came for vitals, another person came for records, another person came for the test, another person came for this. The doctor just came and very, very emotionless. Okay, so you have this. In 3 minutes, the doctor was out, so, this topic about to live and to stay, there is the part where there is family and conviviality and community that African.
I mean, I want you to speak to healthcare.
Yes.
Just
okay.
Healthcare.
So particularly in the sense of infrastructure, there is a huge deficit and gap, between what we have in the West and what we have down in African societies, because I'm not just talking about Nigeria, I've experienced most of it. But in terms of personnel, in terms of clinical acumen, in terms of not depending on a machine, I give it to you to my fellow African doctors, or Nigerian doctors. Yes, we always bear the brunt because you're hugely overpaid, overworked and underpaid. A volunteer that comes for MSF, a volunteer earns more than a surgical registrar or even a senior registrar in Nigeria. And there is also the divide between there is a static, your wage is static, meanwhile the currency isn't affording more. So beyond your regular work, you have to find 2-3 hospitals that you want to do PP to make ends meet. I mean, there are all these things, and indeed, trust me, Nigerian doctors are superheroes compared to what it is, what it obtains. So if you wanted better diagnostics, better infrastructure, better all of this, definitely you find it in the West. But with what Nigeria has in its kitchen, especially with personnel, there is a lot that is still going on. So I think I would. This is what I would, and let me add one thing.
Okay,
let me also add, in the absence of insurance, Nigerian medical services is free. Just so you know, I mean, I had a patient come to me that he had a crazy blood pressure and all that. I begged this man to manage the man. I know it wasn't important, and then he relocated to Chicago. He spent about $10,000 managing the same thing that wouldn't have cost him even better $30,000 safe. You understand? So the price of these diagnostics and this service, healthcare is, if you're not going under insurance and all that, you will pay an arm and a leg. Meanwhile, this is something that is next to free back home. So yeah.
Wow, awesome. I think you have done a surgical operation on that one. As a medical doctor. All right. I'm going to go to Bade. Bade, you're going to choose one of those topics. I don't know if you want me to share my screen again, or you already have them.
Yeah, please share your screen again.
Okay, so we're going to go to one of those topics, and we want you to tell us why have you chosen stay in Nigeria?
Well, I want to go into community and culture. I know that IK said a lot, wanted to delve into that a bit too. And maybe because some people might think maybe I'm a cultural person, maybe that's why I'm saying this, I don't know. But culture is many things. And one of the things that we are missing, left to my wife, we shouldn't even be in Nigeria. We had our first daughter in the UK. We had our second child, this our son, in Nigeria. Even if we have to look at it from the health sector, what we if I'm to speak to the healthcare, I could tell you that yes, we have infrastructure deficit in Nigeria. But what we had, we enjoyed a miracle delivery for our son. You know, my wife had this baby, what do you call it, fibroid, while we had a boy. You know, and thankfully at 4 months the fibroid stopped growing, and then the child started continuing to grow. But at the point of delivery, we were only charged for the delivery of the baby because it was through CS. And the doctor went a long way to also do perform this procedure for to remove the fibroid. I can tell you for real that for us it was a miracle. We couldn't afford to pay for the two at the same time. They would have just sent us, okay, let us start this one, and say just some doctors would just close it off. But she did that for us, and because the hospital was also good, that was in Nigeria. And my wife that had experienced the two hospitals would tell you that though she enjoyed the fact that the participation of the doctors in the infrastructure in the UK, but she enjoyed the communal, the help, the concern, the empathy of the doctors in Nigeria more. They were very concerned about her. These doctors they know their job, and with the little things that they have, they were able to perform these necessary procedures. And for us, it was a miracle. So we believe, thankfully, it supports what we believe. Now, going on the topic about Nigeria is a community. You know, I have virtually all my siblings abroad, scattered around Canada, US, and Spain. You know, but maybe I'm a bloody Nigerian and I believe in something. You know, I can tell you for real, when they were here, some of the things that we enjoyed together as a family, the community that we enjoyed being in Nigeria and raising our children. These are some of the things they don't enjoy back there in the US. For example, I have part of my brothers and sisters there in the US. And in this part of the US, except they have to meet together, they don't enjoy some of these things. For example, if I have a child and I need to go somewhere, it's just for me to call my grandma and say, "Grandma, come and stay. Grandma, please, I need someone to stay in the house. Please, can you get me someone?" They don't have all those liberty. They have to do everything there by themselves. In fact, they have to they must do or they pay big, you know, to have someone to care for that child. But I could just call the cousin, "Please, I will need you for 1 month or 2. All I need to provide for you is just a house, it's just a roof over your head, and then provide for you, and then feed you. And then if I need him for a long, if I need the person for a longer period, I'm not talking about being slavery. The person will still go to the best of school. I will provide for the person the basic things, and the person will go to school, but it will have a roof. I still remember that I still go to my uncles every weekend. I still take my children to my sisters that are in Nigeria that are married, you know, in Nigeria here. I still take them to meet some. You know, we have this sense of community. I could tell you today, a guy on our street, for example, had an issue with another neighbor, you know, on the street, and suddenly we just came out to. We know that there was serious trouble. We had to come to help we came to the aid of the two of them, and it was settled. Now, you may look at this thing as suffering or as unimportant, but I can tell you that it is when you go out there, then you now understand the sense of belonging or not belonging, or where you cannot enter into some places because you are black. or when you cannot do some things just because of the color of your skin. Where you, I have some of my cousins, for example, that are professionals that have been in some places, and where they are working, they tell them that because they are blacks, they cannot grow through a particular rank. That level is meant for some people because they are certainly blacks. If they're going to go through that level, so sorry, you have to maybe create your own business. These things happen everywhere. So I believe that meanwhile in Nigeria, when you talk about business and enterprise, there are some things we can go away with that we don't, that you can't get away with when you go abroad. So I still, I saw a comment that said some of us don't believe in suffering. That's what we're saying in Nigeria. It is not so. In Nigeria, you can comfortably create your own government with what you have. If I make, let's say, 200,000 naira in a month, I can make a very comfortable environment for myself. I can make a very fantastic environment for myself. I can get my own generator. I can get my own inverter if I save very well, because the tax is not killing as such. And I can I'm free to actually walk on the street. I'm free to do some things, and I'm free to even do my own business. There are so many things we have done or we have achieved that I could not even do when I talk about my brothers or my sisters, what they experience abroad. They will tell you every dollar counts, every time counts. Sorry, I cannot do this. And I'll be like, come on, calm down, guys, now. I mean, I guess, so I read someone says, Nigeria thrive in lawlessness. It is not entirely true. It's not entirely true. Some of us we pay government our taxes. We file our taxes. I do business in Nigeria. Some of them do legitimate business, and by the grace of God, we are making it. And I'll tell you why. Simple. The opportunities are there. Many of us, because we want to be lazy, decide not to see this opportunity or do something about it. And Nigeria, they will give you. We have the opportunity. I can tell you on the reverse side, the danger of it also in Nigeria, that when you want to be lazy, the society provides opportunity to be lazy. The community also, that's the danger I see about it, because your parents can still house you at 25, they can still house you even at 35 or at 40. If you are not married, they can, even with your wife, they will still keep you in the house and say, I cannot just, that's the danger. That's the only thing I see, about Nigeria that is discouraging. However, if you are the serious type and you decide that you want to live in Nigeria, you want to make things for yourself, you will do equally well in Nigeria. I've seen what it is on both sides, and I'm choosing Nigeria because I don't want anybody looking over my shoulder all the time as though because I'm black and then begin to do some things on my face. I give it to every Nigerian that make it out there. And the people that are there outside that are Nigerians that are making it are people that already have something that they can defend. For example, if I bring a guy in the UK, a Nigerian that would have traveled, I believe that Nigerians will go abroad to improve on themselves. I believe that Nigerians go abroad, get some more exposure, and then come back home and then build what they have on ground. But I don't agree with the fact of saying that in Nigeria you can never go beyond a certain level, or you cannot expand, or you can never be great. That is not true. That's not entirely true. That's my submission on this.
Awesome. In fact, buddy, I was clapping when you were talking, like, my God, next Minister of Youth and Sports. Really, like, Sean. And amazing, you have made some solid points about community and culture. I mean, those things are very, very valid points. Wow.
iDeal, am I able to just respond to some of the things?
I know, Marina. I knew you were trying your best to just take it. I could see that, but just go ahead, Marina.
Okay, so first of all, I think community is not a function of location. It is what you make of it. I'm trying to remember all the things I wanted to address. First thing, you were talking about how you have your own generator, you have your own inverter. Those are not things that are supposed to be your responsibility under ideal circumstances. If you pay your taxes, it is not supposed to be your job to generate electricity for yourself. Now, you are among the minority in Nigeria. You are among the few people who can afford those luxuries. Step away from where you are for a minute and think about the average Nigerian who's on the streets. Can they afford their own inverter? Can they afford their own generator? Even the people who live in houses where you build high walls, you're secure inside that space, you are still going to drive on the same Nigerian roads that have holes that cars can fall inside. When you get sick, you are still going to go to the hospital where there will be no fuel in the generator to do your surgery. Are you going to build your own hospital or build your own roads too? The fact that you pay taxes are supposed to make those things readily available to you under ideal circumstances. Coming to the point of community, I have felt, again, I believe Nigeria is that community thing is there. It is very easy for you to get people to come in and help you and build that support system. But I feel like my support system here is fast becoming stronger than what I had in Nigeria. It is what you make of it and not a function of location. I have had times where I had to be away for like an entire weekend, and I had options of places where I could take my children, where I did not have to be afraid that I was going to come back and hear a story of abuse. My son has been touched inappropriately or my daughter has been touched inappropriately. Yes, that community thing in Nigeria is there. But do you know the number of people who have abuse stories of people who came to help them inside their houses? I know too many people who suffered abuse under the noses of their parents in the name of community. You put your children together and say, okay, this person is my uncle, this person is my brother. No, my children are safe with them. Before you know, years down the line, your children are broken because of abuse from these same people who were supposed to be community. I have personal experiences. I was a victim of that as well because of community. So it's not a function of bringing people together and just staying together. That's not what I believe community is. Community can be two people who look out for you, have your interest at heart. Right now, there's nowhere I cannot go to in the name of my children don't have anywhere to be. I have options, and I've been away from home for 4 years. So community is, yes, I give it to that Nigerian group spirit where help is cheap. If you want to pay for somebody to come and live in your house to take care of your family, that's cheap. I give that to Nigeria. But that whole community thing, you can build community anywhere, even in the middle of a desert. As far as you have 2 or 3 people who have a collective, all of you have collective ideas and you're all looking out for each other the same way, then I would say that's community. As per racism, I think racism varies according to where you are. There are some places where there's, like I know in the US, racism is more aggressive than it is here in Canada. I have not experienced not one case of racism, and I've been here 4 years. I have felt more discriminated against in Nigeria rather than I have abroad. In Nigeria, it's called tribalism. You can't do something because you don't speak a certain language. I saw it play out before my eyes several times. And guess what? I still feel discriminated against here when I'm among the Nigerian community. That's the only time I feel like I'm different. When I'm among Nigerians, I'm sitting with people who are all just and next thing they switch into a language that I don't understand. That same feeling of being separated and excluded in Nigeria, I feel it here only when I'm among Nigerians. So I don't totally agree with racism and say if because you're black, you can't go to a certain level. I don't believe that. There are a lot of black people who are in influential positions here in Canada. There are a lot of blacks who are in government. So where is the glass ceiling actually? If you're qualified to do a job, the first thing that sets you apart is your competence, the excellence, how you're able to function in a position rather than skin color. If it happens, I'm not aware. But from what I've experienced so far, I don't believe that because you have a certain skin color, you can't get above certain levels. Competence will always set you apart. That's what I believe.
Okay, if you just
also,
allow me.
Before you go ahead, Onome, I don't know, Tombury, I was supposed to allow you to support what, I don't know if you wanted to put more light on community and culture from the stake concept, or he has done a great job.
Yeah, he did a great job, and people have different different perspectives on this issue. But I know that in African settings and African societies, community and culture are very strong things because of that togetherness. Of course, Marina had very valid points on issues about abuse and issues of of this thing. But trust me, landing in the West can be very challenging. If you have family already in the West, after some time you will get your way around it. Yeah, you get. But I find that a lot of the Caucasians that I have worked with, whether it was in South, especially in West Africa, where it's not as fragile as this, almost always want to come back because of, people are willing to just be open, greet you, how are you doing, and all that. And we value. And before this talk, I took time to ask my African colleagues that are probably Caucasian, Australian or Canadian, or Black people that relocated, what is the most part that you miss about your country? And it was all the same answer: family or community, or because you when you live in the West, you kind of miss out on some of the most things that are dear to you that you grew up with. Yeah, of course. So there are strong points on this, and even on the economic front. As much as whatsoever you are, whosoever you are, or you find a job, or whether during the day or during the night, but if you find something in Nigeria, you tend to have a stronger earning power because your expenses is not as high or as it would be if you lived in the West. The percentage taxation, what you pay for utilities and all that. So comparatively, if it's true that people say that you are your own government and the government is supposed to provide this, but if we put together all the bills that you pay, from rent to things for basic necessity versus what you would spend even if you provided your own utilities in Nigeria, you see that there is a differential this thing that you have to consider in there. Yeah. So I think I'll rest my case on this. There's somebody that has been to add to this.
Okay. Thank you. Great job. Onoma, you wanted to say something?
Yes.
Quickly, please.
So I want to agree with the fact that community is a function of, how you go about it. For example, I just want to encourage everyone, especially people who actually want to come this way. The truth is that if you can plan appropriately. For example, I have never felt alone here. Okay, she made some very, very valid points, and I just want to respond to what Baje said about community. Here, I know we have issues. There's this thing that people normally say, when you come, don't mingle with Nigerians, mingle with white people, don't mingle with Nigerians. Nigerians are this, Nigerians are bad, Nigerians are this. But I just want to say you can also make a choice. I have never experienced, that Nigerians are this or Nigerians are that, but I know I have a lot of friends who have experienced, all that. But the truth is that I live in a small community. Let me put it that way. It's not a bigger city, but I have some Nigerians here, and every Nigerian, apart from the person I met here who lives here right now, actually, was, should I say, recommended by me. Please come stay this way. And I know I can say let me just, give a number. If probably 10 people came into Edmonton, I have just about 3 right now in the community where I live, Shelpa. And that was selective, should I say, it was a selective choice. There are some people when they are coming, I don't bother to say, come and stay close to me, because I felt know how you be for back home. Understand? So that, They get to a point, I will tell them that, don't stay there. This place is very, very good. And for your information, I have 2 boys who are not up to 12, because it's 12 years in Canada, right? That you can leave your kids at home. My kids have never one day, I've never had to look for a place. Because I school. I've never had to, I've never been agitated. What do I do if I don't see this? Well, if I don't get where to keep my kids? No, because we are here together. Do you understand? We are here together. You pack your own, come my house. I pack my own, come your house. Well, but nobody is selfish. Yes, some of us are busy, some are not. But the truth is that if you say or you have heard that it doesn't happen like that here, it It is not true. It is not true at all. And the reason why I like these people, and also when they come, we talk amongst ourselves. I tell them, I don't keep it. Nobody wants to be selfish, right? If I have to do, let's plan. If you're going, don't give me your kids 4 days and you take my kids 2 days. No, thank God it has never happened like that. Do you understand? There's no selfishness. But first of all, if you know this person, you trust this person, not that people don't have weaknesses. I have weaknesses, they have weaknesses. There are sometimes we have done things or said things, that we don't like, and we apologize to each other. But it does not give, it fosters, more, the bond. So our kids are together. We are learning together. Sometimes we go to church together. Some of us we don't attend the same schools, but we play together. We are together, and we don't feel alone. Let me put it that way. So if you are going to a place, you want to settle in a place, it should be in a place where you know people. So that's one that when you say you don't have anybody to help you take care of your children. Well, for us here, we have people to help us.
Community.
Yeah.
Okay, iDeal. Can I say something quickly? From the point of Marina, you would also know my challenge is it is very difficult to sell Nigeria to Nigerians. It's a very tough thing. Like she said, in Canada, part of the people that are selling Nigeria short are Nigerians in Canada. It is very, very difficult to sell Nigeria because Nigeria has been before now, sold. We've been told this gory story about Nigeria as if everything is all right in Canada or in the US or in the UK or any part of or other part of this developed nation. True, some things work, and in all honesty, they work. I believe that if something works here, something works there, something works everywhere also. Something works, some things work in Nigeria, just like some things are working in Canada. Of course, cannabis work. You want to smoke some things, it works in Canada a lot. So if you want to get some things, that's something.
You went there.
Oh my God.
I'm only saying that there's no part of the world that you're going to go that some things won't work out for you. Depending on what you have or what you really want, or out of life, or for yourself or your family. And it's very important that we all have to check our pros and cons. But before you make that decision, I want to remind you of something quickly. And I'm going to say this.
You're talking about community, and we're going in a.
Yes. Talking about.
Still on community and culture.
Okay, if it is about community, let me just keep it there.
Okay. Thank you. Also, one of our panelists just jumped in, and I want to introduce him. This guy, he is an amazing man. I actually pray that he will be the president of Nigeria one day. Really, he's so passionate about Nigeria, and it's not just about passion. He is doing something steadily, and I've seen him preside over organizations, and in fact, I thought I had passion and ginger until I met this man, and I knew that I had to take the back seat. So, ladies and gentlemen, TJ.
Hi everyone.
Tell us where you are. You can tell us what you do, and just tell us Nigeria, to live or to stay. Where are you and why?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm so sorry I'm coming in late, and unfortunately I may not stay very long. My name is Chuditejiri J, popularly called TJ. I'd like to say I'm your friend, whether you like it or yes, I'm your friend, so deal with that. By day, I'm a brand and idea strategist, and not by night, but by design, I'm a team coach, a trainer, a thought leader, many things. I can be anything you want me to be right now. Nigeria, to leave or to stay. At the end of the day, I would love what someone wrote in the comments. Earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And sincerely, there was a time where I was so bent on it has to be Nigeria or we go nowhere. But right now, I think that I was operating on a closed mindset. With the idea of borderlessness, my thought is, where your purpose thrives, where your dreams come alive.
TJ, you cannot change. Oh no, we don't allow this. This is not acceptable.
No.
I'm just joking. Please go on.
I'm going to land. I don't have any immediate intention to leave Nigeria. I don't see why I should leave Nigeria right now. So I personally am not going to leave Nigeria right now, okay? And I'm not among those who advocate run for your life. No, you can run and go and die prematurely elsewhere. I've been hearing the conversations and everybody has been valid. The fact that I remember my elder sister told me, one of her first trips to the UK, she saw somebody was literally begging her to get money to come back to Nigeria. So at the end of the day, it's not the environment. The main environment is here. People are here and they are milking, they're making money. Okay, they are living and they are building systems for themselves. I think part of our issue in Nigeria is not even all the lawlessness and all those things we say, because those things were created with men who didn't have an idea of laws in their minds. And I think the problem of Nigeria, to me, is us as individuals refusing to, put ourselves on the line, do what we need to do. Can I change Nigeria? Yes. I may not be able to change Nigeria as a country, but I may be able to change Nigeria in my area of my sphere of influence. What can I do? Who can I reach? For the past 22 years, I've been mentoring teenagers. I've seen many of them become different things. Will they, at the end of the day, change the whole of Nigeria? I don't know, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't put my beat. So what I tell Nigerians is this: put your beat to work, no matter how small it is. Put your beat to work. Now, a lot of the things I want to do is for Nigeria and it's for Africa, from Nigeria to the world, Africa to the world. And I don't really need to stay in Nigeria to do that, but this is my starting point. So whatever I'm going to do, I need to build it here. I need to ensure it grows here, and then I'll move it. My wife is opposite me here. She's squeezing her face because she wants to go to UK like tomorrow. Okay, so I'm trying to ignore her. I can also be now. COVID-19, we have come to the realization that you can really do anything from anywhere. So if I can change the world from UK, I can change the world from Canada. With Onome, no Onome is going to be in a house for a while when I come. Or Imaze, I can change the world anywhere. But for me, my purpose keeps me here. The work I'm doing is here. The money I'm making for now it comes from me being here. So like Badi was saying, we need to factor a lot of things and take our minds away from what's happening for others, because I think our purpose, our functions are all different. I have friends who have relocated, but they made sense here and built structures before relocating. So they did not leave Nigeria empty. Onome, who is in Canada, has a school near my house here that is running even in her absence. She's built structure, common sense. So I do not advocate that we run like people who are running for their life, because whatever is pursuing your life can catch you wherever you are. Okay, so leave or to stay, you decide.
No, but you are staying. You have to tell us why you are staying. Fundamentals of a decision. Fantastic, TJ. Thank you so much. TJ is staying in Nigeria, so that's where he will give us more support in that light. Okay, so before we go further, Onome, you're going to take one of those topics and tell us about why to leave, what are the advantages. But before we get to you, as you prepare for that, Esosa, Chidima, you raised your hand. I want to bring you in. I'm sure you want to say something, Chidima and Esosa. So I'm going to unmute you now to make your contribution.
Can we see the
Hello, good evening.
Yeah.
So
I would love to see your video, by the way, if you don't mind, but it's fine.
Okay, can you see now?
Yes.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so basically, I want to, just start by, I want to take on some points from what Bade said earlier about, the pros of staying and the rest of them. For once, I will disagree with the fact that healthcare is cheap in Nigeria. It's not possible. I'm in the health sector, and I will tell you why. The first one is this. What we call health insurance in Nigeria is a joke. It's a joke. Because it's not universal. It does not have a universal coverage, first of all. And then what the different health management organizations cover for. I don't know. It's a joke too. I use the HMO. And for some people in my position, they have had to, get private HMO deals with certain HMOs to complement what they have with their employers in order to just break even. By break even, I mean in order to access a certain level of healthcare. And then the HMOs will now come, and then the hospitals they are using, if left to you alone, you can, afford to go elsewhere, go to another hospital that has better facilities, and you can access it privately, out of pocket, on your own. Healthcare is not cheap in Nigeria at all. In the diagnostic field where I work in, for example, there are certain times, there have been many times, patients will come in to do certain investigations, and then they will tell you, madam, please now help me. I cannot afford 1,000 naira to do one test. I'm not lying, I'm not joking. When I worked in Jigawa State, I knew how many times I had to pay 50 naira for patients that came in to do PCV for antenatal. And this is just like a typical example on a given day. So when you talk about cheap healthcare, there's only like cheap healthcare in Nigeria. Healthcare is bloody expensive. Now, funny enough, as a con on the side of leave, when you go to places like the US, healthcare is commercialized. There are function tests that you can do in Nigeria for about 11,500. Abroad, if they convert the dollar equivalent, you'll be getting the same type of function test for like 20,000, 22,000. But then there's something they call copay. So if the health insurance is paying like 40%, the patient himself or herself is paying the rest, or the patient's employer is paying some, and then the patient is paying the rest. At the end of the day, it's relatively cheaper than what you can get down here. I can tell you that for a fact, because I have like patients that access healthcare both in Nigeria and abroad. You talk about sense of community. Who community help? Community will now come and help me in Nigeria when I went to look for a job and I was told to my face, "Oh, you're not from this place. Where are you from?" And the first question they asked me was where I was from. And you call that sense of community. The worst kind of discrimination you face is discrimination in your own father's house. Okay. That's the worst sort of discrimination you can face. I can take racism from anybody who is not my color or from my part of the world. Yeah, it's painful, but I'll take it a little bit than to come to Nigeria where I'm supposed to have a stake in Nigeria, and then somebody is discriminating against me because I'm not Yoruba, or because I'm not Hausa, or because my father is not a minister. I once went for a job interview and I was asked, who gave you the notes I came with? Unfortunately, I didn't come with a note and I didn't get the job. I didn't get the internship position. Yeah. I went for military hospital. I wrote the exam. I passed. I was told to my face, sorry, we can't take you. Your state has only a quota for 2 people. And too many of you from your state passed. It happened to me. Where? In Nigeria. So you look at daily your dreams getting, chipped away on a daily basis. You really don't have a reason to believe you can stay. Okay, let's talk about. There's one more point I want to talk about.
Okay, very quickly, please.
Yeah, very quickly. About being government to ourselves. Do you know that I would prefer to pay 100,000 as tax every month and come back to my house, flip the switch, and there'll be light. Turn off the tap, and there'll be water. I will try to drive and the road is very good. I'll prefer to pay that and see these systems work. I'll prefer to pay 100,000 a month, go to a teaching hospital, and the medications I will get there, I'll be assured of the quality, than to pay the amount I'm paying as tax now, and then none of these things are working. I'm not lying. Today, I've not had light today in my house. I've been on generator since morning. So what use is that to me? So I cannot be my own government in my own country. The reason a lot of us are going outside is because the first impression you get when you travel out is, so there are places where things can work. Can it be possible that these things can work? So when you see where these things work, you begin to wonder, are we created differently?
Thank you, Chidima. Thank you for your contribution. Awesome. Esosa, are you there? Can you quickly just...
Yeah, hi everyone.
I'd like to see your video if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, my name is Esosa. I live in Denver, Colorado in the US. And I'm just going to get through a couple topics. It's good to be here talking about this with everyone today. I'll start with community and racism, and then probably end with healthcare if I have the time. So myself and my wife, we moved to the US 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a decision for me that I made when I was in secondary school. I knew I wanted it, and my primary reason was education. I wanted to do university. I didn't have the opportunity, so I decided grad school. I moved to a college town, 30,000, that had a history of lynching Black people. So it kind of gives you the idea of, if you go read the history of Statesboro, Georgia, Black people were lynched just for being Black people, right? But today it's a multicultural place, a lot of international students, and the community of Nigerians in that 30,000 town is unbelievable. We had 3-day ceremonies for Independence Day. We were able to do a lot of things because we found community there, and there were a lot of people. So just starting with community, I totally understand the point of it's always easier in Nigeria. We have a 2-year-old, and we think about the reality of daycare and the fact that we can't just have a cousin or an auntie or your parents to be available for you all the time. But at the same time, I believe you can find community wherever you are. Because Nigerians always find a way to gravitate, but also not just Nigerians. You can find community with other immigrants, because other immigrants understand the reality of moving to a foreign country, and some of them might be 2nd or 3rd generation immigrants. So I moved to racism, and I haven't experienced overt racism in the sense of somebody probably saying something really stupid to me, but I've definitely experienced racism in actions, and that is a reality of living as a colored person, Black, Latino, whatever you are in America, especially, because people look at you, and even though right now everybody I work with is pretty much white. I used to work with a place where we were literally United Nations, but now I work with people that are all white, and what distinguishes... Yeah, I had Indian, Canadian, I had Mexican, I had, Moroccan, American, I was Nigerian. It was really nice, and they are still my friends today. But where I was just going to with racism is that the reality is you definitely would still see people that would still discriminate you because of the color of your skin. In Denver, Colorado is a predominantly white state, and I'm not particularly crazy about the way white people are generally, but that's another conversation because of politics. But I understand that also in Nigeria, you have tribalism that is a reality. What I probably should start, backtracking a bit, and I say that I'm not for or against. I'm for if you decide you want to, against if you don't decide you want to, because what ECAI said is beautiful. The earth is the Lord's. That's the way I feel. I believe you can find purpose anywhere. But I remember when I was leaving Nigeria, a lot of people guilt-tripped me for wanting to leave, and some of them are not in Nigeria today. It's just the reality. Some of them even did this place, but let's just leave that. But
my dear,
not so to be, But I would always say that you can experience. One thing I've decided I will do, and I would encourage people that are not to. I have a couple brothers here also, and then Imaze is in Canada. One of my brothers is like your country. He's like you people and your. Even they refer to us like say we did together. We try to encourage him to still have that sense of you are from this place, and that's the kind of mindset I want to have, because I also know people on this call that are living in Nigeria and doing exceedingly well. Granted, we are the 1%ers because an average Nigerian doesn't have the opportunity. That's one thing we need to realize. I came from a middle class family. My parents were civil servants, but I was among those people that had opportunities that a lot of people didn't have. I went to public schools in Nigeria, but still, being in this country itself, it came from the fact that there was still some sort of a support system, so I recognize that reality, but I also want to be a part of what's going on in Nigeria, because I know one of our people here is making a lot of money, and I don't want to give that up, or I want to be a part of the change. I also want to be a part, and I know I can do that from here. So just mixing it up, and let me just end with the healthcare, because I know I've talked for a bit. So I'm also in the healthcare. I'm a dentist, but right now I work in clinical research here in Denver, Colorado. And with healthcare, it is one reality also about living as a Black person here. And it might seem like I'm just putting out facts, I'm not really supporting or saying against. Like Georgia, where I used to live, maternal mortality rate is the highest in the country. Still being a Black person in this country means that even if you are very rich, you can still die while you are giving birth to a baby, because there is this assumption that Black people can take more pain, so doctors don't give as much attention. A white lady is on the bed trying to give a baby, you're rushing the epidural. A Black person is like, you can take that pain, because there is this an impression has been created that Black people can withstand more pain. This comes from years of slavery, right? But at the same time, the healthcare system it's not a good healthcare system in the US. It's actually a crappy healthcare system. I mean, it's not a good. America doesn't have good healthcare, but it has the best healthcare system. Because if you can have a system that has the best, all the equipment you have, but access is still a problem. So you still see. I have insurance because I work for my company, but the average person in America probably doesn't have that opportunity. They have to be on government, Medicaid, Medicare, or even Black and brown folks don't have that access. So it's not a perfect system. But I know it's still a lot better than Nigeria, because in Nigeria, even if it's cheaper, sometimes it's not always good, right? So they are bearing, for and against things that will always be for Nigeria or be out. But personally, I know that's something I want. I might never move back to Nigeria, and I feel very comfortable saying that. Before I used to, hold back to say, maybe, but I might never move back because I don't have any feeling that I want to live in Nigeria, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean I'm going to forsake, because my heart is there. I lived over 25 years in Nigeria, so I'd always go back. I would always invest. I would always be a part of it. But if you feel you find your purpose and you want to stay, I tell people stay. But if you want to move, be smart about it. Communicate with people wherever you are. You always would have a system. Let me just end with that. Thanks for
Thank you.
Time.
That's my younger twin, by the way. Thank you. It was fantastic. Like we said, this is not just trying to say, one is great. The truth is, like I said, everybody cannot leave Nigeria.
Yeah.
And if one solution is not the solution for everybody, then probably that's not the solution. But the idea is that some people need to leave and some people need to stay. And we're trying to help them see what are the pros and what are the cons. Like, see clearly, don't just jump or don't just stay. We need to be able to see clearly and take the best decisions for ourselves. And I think that's the idea. So I'm going to go back to you, Onome, to support your leaving.
Okay, so I want to talk about career opportunities and raising children. Then I'll just talk about some pros and also talk about some cons too. Like I said before in my introductory speech, I said that a lot of opportunities that I never got, in Nigeria, I already have. And I also said that in a space of few months. So there are a lot of opportunities here. When it comes to education, when it comes to jobs, it's not streamlined. You can spread, your wings, because there are a lot of things that you can do in a space, probably in a space that you choose. For example, I like to work with families. I like to help, single people choose right, and also help women who are having issues in their marriages, and right here, there are a lot of courses that I can take for that. I don't have to be streamlined to a particular course, which was not the same, back in Nigeria. And also having gone through, the BSc, it was, probably a little bit difficult to try to navigate, to be that person. Yes, I did the certificates back in Nigeria, but going to school right now, I can see the difference between what was being taught in Nigeria on how to handle and navigate and help families navigate through their issues, through conflicts. I can see, the difference between what I learned in Nigeria and what I have learned and I'm practicing, right now. So that is the pro for me when it comes to, career. And then for opportunities, I've said it before, probably some people were not here. I said there's a project that I'm doing right now that, I never dreamt. In fact, there's something that Bade said, was saying something about, you said something about, you're comfortable, you are rich. But when you think about the ratio of the dollar to the naira, when I was in Nigeria, I wasn't able to afford, that project. But in just few months, I can comfortably sit, and when I gave out that money, I couldn't even believe. I started asking myself, now you be this. In just less than a year of preparing and deciding, okay, I want to do this. So this is what I can put aside for this. And also the opportunities that the government gives, that you have here. Like Marina said, told that there are some things that you shouldn't be providing for yourself. I want opportunities here that you can assess. And sometimes you just like, does this really exist? So there are some things that I've been able to put my hand, into that I never got that chance in my 30-something years in Nigeria. So for when it comes to opportunities and, for career, I would say it is I have more pros, than cons. Then the next thing I want to talk about is raising children. Okay, I have a school, right? And when I was in Nigeria, I always looked, tried to research, to get some resources to be able to do things, well, that is, should I say, is expected. I didn't start my school like, I didn't sit down I didn't plan, let me put it that way, to start an academic school. I didn't want a nursery, primary and, and all that. What I wanted was to build talents, because I knew that I need this was an opportunity that I looked out for when I was a teenager, but I couldn't get it. Probably it's because of, the environment I was in, who knows, or the church I found myself in, who knows, but that aside. But coming here, there are a lot of things that that your children can do freely. A lot of resources. There are a lot of resources that I have sent back home that didn't even cost me, as much as it would have costed me if I was in Nigeria. So that is a pro for me when it comes to raising children. So many resources, so many skills, so many things that the government have put in place, for children to do. Just a lot of them are free, but some of them you have to pay for them. So that one is good. Then when it comes to cons, I know that we know that for children. Okay. Another thing is that, that a lot of times we read in Nigeria, there are some things that you read that you don't see. I don't know if you understand, especially for those of us who are probably into healthcare or into technology or, research. Yeah, our children can read and handle it. They can read it, from the book, and then they can go into their labs or whatever it is called and how they see it. But in Nigeria, you only try to imagine it. So that's another pro for me when it comes to, raising kids. Yes. Awesome. But I know we all know the cons, right? So we can talk about that.
Marina, do you want to add to that in terms of? She talked about raising children, and she also talked about career and opportunities. What are the advantages if you leave?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the career opportunities aspect first. I totally agree with everything you have said. The only con that I've seen here in terms of career opportunities is that there's a bit of a disconnect between the average Canadian employer and how a Nigerian employer would think. Personally, I have a bachelor's degree in microbiology, but all the work experience I've had is in administration, human resources, and customer service. When I moved here, it became a problem convincing the average Canadian employer that I have the right training for the work experience that I say I've had. that disconnect was there. I could not convince them that I have the adequate human resources training if my bachelor's degree is in microbiology. But in Nigeria, you can find a mechanical engineer working as a teller in the bank. We know that the unemployment rate is the reason why people can train in one area and they're working in another area. So the disadvantage I see here is that sometimes you have to step back, take steps down from what you already have. So if you're at a certain level in Nigeria, say you're a manager of a bank, for instance, when you come here, you might not necessarily be able to access opportunities as the manager of a bank. You might have to take some steps down to get into the system first before you work your way to the top. So that it can take you like a couple of steps, a couple of years back. For me, I had to go back to school. I had to bridge that gap between microbiology and all the work experience that I had. So I had to go back to school here. I was in class with people who some of them were fresh out of high school and had been out of university for like a number of years. I was now doing it as a mom. So it was hard. That adjustment was tough. But as soon as I was done, the most that I waited before I got a job after I finished that program was it was about a month. And out of that month, 2 weeks of it was because I asked for 2 weeks before I could resume. I immediately got a job after I was done. So that's the disadvantage that I see, that's stepping back. But as soon as you're able to get into the system, with the resilience of the average Nigerian, you can quickly rise. And then in the aspect of raising children, I totally agree with that. The way education works here is very, very different. There are days when my 7-year-old son comes to me and is asking me questions. We have finished schoolwork online and he's like, okay, this thing that we just learned, would it be the same if I'm talking about this? He's quickly able to take it away from text and relate it to normal life, relate it to using simple things just around the house. Like, okay, mom, when my teacher said this, is this what it means? So we can take it out of paper and it goes from just being imagination and he can put life to that thing. So it's the way they are taught, the way they are taught to reason is very different from what I knew. I had a lot of unlearning to do when it comes to the issue of raising children. What had been handed down to me, some of them were relevant, but a number of them I found I had to unlearn. When I was growing up, I was told that as a child, you do not look at an adult in their eye when you're talking to them because it's disrespect. But here, my children are taught that when you're talking to people, you look at them because that is confidence. So if I'm raising my children to say, don't look at the eye of people because it's disrespect, I'm just going to be raising them for a generation that might not be relevant anymore. You know, I'm going to be teaching them values that will be disadvantages to them. So I had to stop what is obtainable now, what is obtainable in this place, what's going to be relevant to them, what's going to be relevant, what kind of children do we want to raise, what changes do I have to make today that would lead to that picture of the child that I want to raise in the future. So a lot of, and like Onome said, there are resources that are available for you to go and learn those things. There are resources that are available. There are options that you have to help children learn these things. So there are things I had to continue doing. There were values that I learned as a child that will always be relevant, that I'm handing over to my children. But there are some other things that I was taught that is no longer relevant. And I had to make the adjustment. I had to make room to unlearn those things and now start to learn the things that are relevant to them. So I agree with that. The career opportunity is just the only other pro. The stepping back and having to lose like a couple of years before you now get back into the system is the major con that I see with career opportunities abroad.
Thank you, Marina. Well stated. I don't know if any of the guys that are for stay want to bring up a point that it's for staying in Nigeria as regards career opportunities and raising children. Buddy.
Okay. Some of the people that I tell to please, if you can find your way out, please go at people in the professional middle class, because the opportunities are not really here for now. Because you won't see someone trained as a doctor. He has his master's and then he has PhD and then he has to resume as a teller because he couldn't get the job that he really worked hard for to burn the candle for. So I don't advise such persons to really stay for now because of their family, except they have been able to create the niche for themselves, or the few jobs that support professionalism, their professions are available and they're able to get those opportunities. So I can say that for sure that those such opportunities may not be really here for many Nigerians, and I won't downplay that at all. So, but for the opportunity, but I also know that the tide also turn and opportunities come at various times. One of the times that the opportunity has presented itself for Nigerians that are around now is the pandemic. And I will tell you why I'm saying this. If before now you are gone, all well and good, you have one reason why you should stay if you're a professional at this time. The people, a lot in the, I don't know how many jobs right now, except I quickly click on Google to check how many jobs are lost because of the pandemic all around the world, and because people are, businesses are right sizing, and if they are going to right size, they are going to keep a few persons, and the people that will first keep will be one of their own. Either we agree to that or not. Yes, or you have to provide enough justification, do the needful. For them to keep you. If you used to have about 1,000 jobs in a particular organization, and they had to reduce to 200. If they would downsize, you must be worth the salt before they can keep you. That is a Nigerian in that abroad. Now imagine that you, a Nigerian, now want to go and join them after they've lost that job. After many people that are already there, the residents, people that understood the system, people that have that already suitable for the job, they've gotten the job before, and then if those jobs they're going to be creating them, the people that will get them first, not you that is just coming into that society, and that's why I would take to stay at this time. And another opportunity, if we look at Nigeria, also in that regard, the opportunities are also coming for businesses. Just look at it. There are some things we import or we bring in or that are being produced abroad. I said that earlier, that at this time, because of the pandemic, are now being produced locally. And I want us to look inward. What are the things that you do? What are the things that you could do really well? That if you're in Nigeria at this time, I think it's time to begin to look inward. There are some things I couldn't do before now that the pandemic provided opportunity for. I'm trying to avoid, using myself as a standard, because I already see people think that I'm one of 0.001% Nigerians that are doing well in Nigeria, and it's not entirely true. Some even feel that I'm part of the 5%. But the reality is, when I used to, I wanted to answer on a man right now, that there were times where I've been in business for a number of years. I've only worked for someone maybe for maybe 3 to 4 for about 4 years in my entire work history. So I've always been an entrepreneur, and I will tell you, I've lost money several times. And ease of doing business is not here in Nigeria. I've lost money until I decided that I will not use. Even the money's environment is not suitable for the ease. Does not support young entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs or small businesses. But it is changing right now. I just noticed, I decided at the time that, I would never use my own money to do business again. I'll use other people's money. So I made a decision. I decided to begin to train myself in the area of my core competence. I thought I could do everything before, or many things, until I started to look inward. And when people started to know me with one single thing that I could do right, and then they decided to bring in their money, to support the business that I want to do. And this pandemic period, for example, now provided more opportunity. I now see that there are more opportunities here. The things that I wanted to produce before, that I couldn't produce before the pandemic, I could now produce them because there are people to use them. There are people to use them in Nigeria. So these things were once the things that were being imported, into the country. Now I can now go back to that farm. I can now go back to produce those things and bag them again, and then sell them to Nigerians because they don't have other options to buy. The ones that they have to buy is getting exhausted. And I know that we are going to be like that for some time. It's going to remain like that maybe for the next 2 years, and if possible, it's going to remain like that for and now many persons are saying that what is wrong with Nigeria is actually the system, and many people will say it's the government. Some of us are doing something about it also, but we know that. And I'm telling you, I during the you saw I changed my T-shirt. I changed my T-shirt to I'm a Nigerian. It's because we have a conference, that is starting from tomorrow and going to run throughout the week about I'm a Nigerian conference, where we educate Nigerians to be proper, to understand the value of being Nigerians, to actually do the right thing for as a Nigerian, and to look for opportunities within Nigeria to better Nigeria. And why we don't just tell them to do that, we are also working at it ourselves, because we are working at both self-reliance. We are working at most Nigerians, the reason why the people could buy your votes is because you are not self-reliant. You have to, maybe they use money, they give them food, the stomach infrastructure, they give them, and then they're okay. But when we realized all those things, we now started to deal with them, to provide this opportunity for most people and to educate them that that you could also deal, how you could manage this government officials, how you could demand from them to give you what you pay for, or those you voted in. And so those are the things we're doing. For example, more people voted, and I think I saw you, iDeal at the time, when we're doing our program during the election, where we're getting people to get more people to vote, to register to vote. We did that. The reason why we're doing that is to make more Nigerians to begin to see the Nigeria that they ought to be. Why these people are leaving is because the same people that that were right now did not invest in Nigeria. They felt that the corruption is where they could put the money. Where the money is, and so they make corruption good business. Like somebody made a joke. COVID-19 is killing people all over the world, but COVID-19 is being made a business in Nigeria. Well, I don't believe that. One thing I like to say about that is, one of the things that in the health sector, let me come back to the health sector. You would notice that we don't have those severe cases in Nigeria like we do abroad. We don't have severe cases. And I will tell you why we don't have those severe cases. One of the reasons because apart from the sun, is that the food we eat they are not all the kind of food that you guys eat that is almost synthesized. That is grown. But anyway, let me just stop it there.
Yeah.
Thank you. You've done a thorough job. I was going to say that first of all, I'll say thank you. Great work that you're doing for Nigeria, and I want to say that anybody that chooses to stay in Nigeria, has to think unconventionally the way you are thinking. Like, you are very creative, and your perspective to the opportunities there, it's amazing. Anybody staying in Nigeria has to think like that. So thank you. So, but the final point, I'm going to ask either TJ or Tombari. I think TJ, because TJ is just jumping in. So TJ, we have these various points that we have put. I would like you to pick on one of them. And I'm sure I sent them to you earlier. Speak on one of them that you want to use to support why we should stay in Nigeria, or what supports your staying in Nigeria. If you ask me, I would like you to talk about maybe religion or faith or something. I don't know. I hope, okay. TJ, are you there? Okay, you're muted. I'll mute you now.
Yeah, I was laughing when you said religion and faith. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
I was laughing when you said religion and faith because I think the religious sector, as it were, has been shocked. Well, all over the world, but basically in Nigeria. Choose
anything you're comfortable with. Anything that will help you. You know that you can share your experience on why stay, why you want to encourage people to stay, or those that are meant to stay. Whatever. Just dive in.
It's a little bit dicey for me when I think about certain things like community culture, which I would have talked about.
You've talked about that already.
Yeah, just said some. What I'm going to do, I may not just pick one. I will just say something and run through all, because as we grow, we learn every day. We see things better, and somehow I don't think there's one way to do anything for everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we talk about culture, there's a part of our culture that is strong and that we all know that we respect. It helps us. Respect is one of the things in our culture. However, tradition has disdained the strength of our culture. Okay, so the things we have believed, our belief systems and all that has put us in some form of bondage. However, with what I see happening around the world, I get to realize that everyone has a tradition that has also locked them down. Okay, coming to faith, we are a very, very religious, and sorry to say, has a positive and negative side. We're very, very blindly religious people here in Nigeria. And it has its good side and its bad side. The good side is that it draws us very, very close to God. The bad side that mostly it stops us from taking responsibility that God has given to us. Okay, the good thing about Nigerian religion is that, that scripture that says train up a child in the way it should go is something we almost, literally take to a fault, which is good. The average Nigerian will try as much as possible to instill the right values here, point the child to God. In another light, that may be locking the child's minds to getting to even know God for himself. So this, when you send this to me, I started thinking, I may be very indifferent on a lot of things, but I would rather raise my children religiously in Nigeria and then open their minds to see God, who God is. The environment has also helped that. But I want to pick a little on what Bade talked about. And this is why I am staying in Nigeria. I want to look at it. I don't know what category that will fall under, but I just want to point towards purpose. Where does purpose fall under? Does purpose fall under any of those things there? Is purpose and not purpose?
It's good. I like that. Just go ahead. You're doing well.
Okay, great. So this is it for me. I am asking myself, when I look back from 80, what would be the account of my life? Okay, I know God has given me talents. I'm happy I am creative enough to create solutions. Talking about opportunities, I'm asking myself, why do people invest in Nigeria? Why do people come here? If they are coming here, then there's so much gold. Why can't I either position myself as one who can lead them to the gold or one who's selling the gold to them? So there's a lot of opportunities here. People can be milking out from Nigeria. And then we complain that there are no opportunities. I think our mindset, like I said earlier, our mindset has been programmed, in a particular way. And then we are having not necessarily what like Kunle Shurian calls creative rebellion. We are just being rebellious against the pain of what we have been stuck into, and then we want all our energies to want to express with all our energies into the new joy that we are finding, and then we are still creating more problem, leaving certain things undone. So for me, is this: I'm asking myself, when I look back, what will my life have written on the sand of time? And then I look at the fact that I love my country, and I love the fact that while all my brothers here are running away, I want them to look back and then also be proud of where they come from. So I am committing myself to ensure I am working to make this place a proud reference for them. And so they can send me their money to do the work here while they are there. Just had to add that. But anyway, I'm looking at my life from that angle. If we all leave this country, who fixes it? If we all, no matter how much we run and become relevant in another man's country, they fix the country and you become a subset of their reality. Who fixes us? Who would make our naira rise if he has to? Well, can I do that in my lifetime? I don't know, but like I said earlier, I will keep on trying. So my point is this. While we, I'm working hard to ensure that I provide the best, and I thank God for the internet. I'm trying to provide the best of education as much as I can for my children. I update myself per second with everything that is happening. So educationally, yes, there may be, and there are opportunities here that we don't know about. And there are networks that you connect to, you get to find those opportunities. And from here, you can apply for anything, get a grant, get sponsorship, and you see yourself cruising on certain levels. For security, well, I cannot say yes for security. It's terrible. Even in my compound here, my net was torn and my sister-in-law's phone was picked from the window. So I can't say.
I think just you hit it on that purpose.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
No, for security, I can't say for security here. For security, this is where we now go back to religion and hope and trust God to protect us.
Thank you.
For healthcare, our problem here, part of our problems, I think, outside all the things, IK can maybe able to speak better as a medical practitioner, but I think we're not looking at what we have. We have so much. I remember back in those days, you remember, iDeal, remember, I think the name is Ibiyat, is it Ibiyat Taeshe or something?
Yeah, Ibiyat Taeshe.
Hey.
Is that medicine?
Yes, we killed him. We killed him. And that's what we do. We kill our opportunities. So that was not the government. It was us killing that guy. When any guy tries to, we have this PhD syndrome, pull him down syndrome. When we see any guy trying to do something unusual, because our minds are locked, we are like prisoners. So we are struggling like the crabology. I read that recently, pulling ourselves down. That's what we do. So if I don't really like some of these debates because my opinions may not be popular. But if we have to, my thoughts progressively is for those that are relocating, how can you support those that are here? And those that are here, how can we learn from those that are relocating? So at the end of the world, we build a borderless Nigeria. We exchange ideas, we help the orientation. I need you, you need me. There's nowhere that is, as far as I'm concerned, there's nowhere that is better than any other place. That's my own perspective. It's just what you choose to do with yourself wherever you are. Because I'm seeing inside this, my young friend, what's his name, John Obidi, I was chatting with him, and he told me of something he designed, and in 1 week he made 8.6 million naira sitting here in Nigeria in his house. I was saying there's no money. That's opportunity, and then he can fly himself wherever. Okay, I can get a green card. With green card, I can work and get it. Yeah, because I want to become borderless as well when it comes to travel, and it gives me respect if I get, a US citizenship or whatever. Yes, I need that, but my mind brings me back here because at the end of the day, I want a Nigeria that when my son looks back, when your son looks back, they will be proud of. So for me, it's purpose that keeps me functioning. And then there are a lot more potentials, like Onomed was talking about, that needs to be harvested. They will never, ever find the expression of their potential if all we do is run away and not fill in the gap. So some of us need to still remain here to ensure that we are filling the gap, and I've been doing that for so long. And now there's a gap in my head that needs to be filled.
Yeah, you're right on that one. Thank you, TJ. Yes. Okay. We're about to round up now. Thank you. I just wanted the Tombari and the rest people just 30 seconds, last words. Just 20-30 seconds. Tombari, you can go first. Just last final words. Okay. Marina, go ahead. Marina, go ahead, please.
Okay. So I've had an amazing time just listening to everybody and understanding different perspectives. And what I'm going to say is that for everybody who is considering leaving Nigeria, it's just not a decision that you have to sit down, I want to go, pack your bags and leave. There's the place of personal convictions. There's a place of what exactly is your why? What is the reason why you're doing this? And if you're a person of faith, do you have any backings? Do you have any convictions to do this? Personally, I know that I had the backing of God to move out of Nigeria. It is God that causes me to will. And more than half the time, I check that my will is in his will. Just checking like, God, what would you have me do? And I had my personal convictions to move out of Nigeria. So it's not just a matter of I have the resources, I have the opportunity, I'm just going to get up and go. I have seen people who left Nigeria, came here, and they're struggling. They're still struggling till now. But if you have your personal convictions and you're sure that you're in God's will, the earth is the Lord's. You will flourish anywhere. You will do purpose anywhere. For me, the reason, purpose is part of the reason why my YouTube channel was born. I just want to be able to be in a position where I can point other people who are coming behind me in the direction where they can make better decisions, in the direction where they can make choices that will help them to settle faster in this place. And the feedback that I've been getting is amazing. Would I have been able to do that in Nigeria? I'm able to do this now because I am in people's experiences. I can tell you when I landed, these are the mistakes I made. You don't have to make the same mistakes. I would not have been able to provide that information if I did not move out of Nigeria. Maybe the channel would have taken a different direction. But the fact that I was able to move, made those mistakes, and now I'm able to point people in the direction where they can make better choices, that for me is purpose. When I get the feedback, it just gladdens my heart, and I'm grateful that I'm in that position to provide that for people. Another thing that we all need to remember is that wherever you are, even abroad, my responsibility to Nigeria is to make sure that I am flying Nigeria in positive light, is to make sure that I am flying the Nigerian flag with pride regardless of where I am. So everywhere that I go, I'm a representative of the entire country, and I keep that reminder in my head. I cannot afford to leave any bad impressions where I go, because people will not look at it like, oh, that employee. It would be that Nigerian employee at that time. So I'm very conscious of the trail that I'm leaving. I'm very conscious of the impressions that I'm leaving, because I am the representative of Nigeria wherever I am. And my responsibility to Nigeria is to fly that flag with pride, regardless of my postal code or wherever I am.
Awesome. Thank you, Marina. Onome. Onome, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you, iDeal, for this wonderful platform. It was very insightful today. I want to thank everyone too. I totally enjoyed myself. Marina, please, can you share your YouTube channel with us so that we can subscribe and follow and learn?
Yeah, please put it on the charts or something.
Yes. Okay, so my last words I'll just say is, don't be scared to make this decision if this is what you really want. I didn't come here for as long as I could remember, because I was listening to stories that people were talking about, things that you hear people say, concerning this place. And so because of that, the fear of, is this a good choice? But so far, so good. God has been with me. Obviously, I and my husband, we talk about it all the time. We can count and say, oh, this is what we have, and this is it. This could have been God, not like Marina said, we had God's backing. So if this is what you really want, there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. There's absolutely nothing to be scared of. Take the step. Do whatever it is that you have to do. This place is good. It's not, it's not bad. I love it. I don't know about other people who are here, but I really love it. And I will encourage you, if you want to, please come. There's absolutely nothing to be afraid of.
Thank you, Onome. Amazing. We're going to do a poll, but before we do that poll, I'm going to hear from Bade. Just final words, Bade. Thank you. Just final words, 30 seconds. And then we'll hear from somebody.
Okay, thank you, iDeal. Marina, well done with what you do. Onome, thank you. Tobere, well done. Thank you so much. I'd like to say this, that I'm very proud of Marina for what she said in conclusion. That she remembers that she's an ambassador of Nigeria wherever she is. Even in Canada, she's a Nigerian. She's proudly flying the flag of Nigeria. And this is what I tell people: if you're going to leave at all, don't forget. And that is what we in Nigeria try to do to the rest of Nigerians that are still in Nigeria. If you're going to leave at all, before you leave, let us tell you that you can't live less Nigerian anywhere you go. You must remember you're a Nigerian with a global mindset. You must carry that global mind. You can carry the global mindset even in Nigeria. But if you have to leave, please keep the flag flying. And for those of us in Nigeria at all, remember that like she said, some people could leave and should leave if they have to leave. But for those of us that are here in Nigeria, I would like to tell you that there are opportunities here. Why do you think China and the United States, why do you think Trump is calling Buhari? Why do you think China is looking at Nigeria post-pandemic? all of them are looking for opportunities they can get in Nigeria. If you don't know the opportunities here, if those nations are seeing the opportunity, and I think there's no nation in the world that has that can give you that kind of return on investment that you can get in Nigeria, that the opportunity. So it will tell you, like Onome said to those that want to go, please feel free to explore. Feel free, and if you don't know how to navigate, come to us, we'll show you how to navigate through. That's what we're saying. God bless.
Thank you so much, buddy. Tombury, quickly, please.
Okay, so just in summary, I think I support what one of the panelists have said, knowing the whys of what you do. And I also think that there are people that can make the decision to move just as a temporary space to be able to be more mobile. I mean, or in terms of this, because there are huge opportunities in Nigeria. Yes, there are problems with access to capital and all that, but when you finally happen on one of those opportunities, I find that the Western world presents opportunities for the average and low income earning space, but it's very difficult to jump from middle class to that place of this thing like it is when you finally happen on opportunities back in Africa. Because of course, in the place of disorganization or in the place of this thing, a lot of opportunities exist and thrive. There is also the place where we find that somebody spoke about healthcare and all these things. Comparatively is what we were talking about. So for instance, I'm a medical doctor and the whole school fees I paid for all my 6-7 years in the university is not up to $1,000 all put together, but all my colleagues that I work with here or something probably left school with a student loan of $500,000 or more. So you come from a place of deficit. So it's these kinds of comparisons that we need to be focused on or look at when you're making these decisions. I think that you should be informed with your decision making and ask yourself one important question, and I'll stop with this. If you made money in Nigeria, will you leave? If the answer is yes, you should find out why. So would it be temporary? Is it security? Can you afford? Can you move to a safer part of the country? If you knew that you had money in Nigeria and you would not leave, then you probably need to work on finding reasons to stay, because obviously it's just a greener pasture thing, and then after a while it won't really hold for the longer haul. So thank you. This was an interesting conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, my panelists. We're going to take a poll, but before we take a poll, I'm going to just show us something that someone did. His name is Damilola Oluwatoyinbo on this. But I just want to say thank you for everyone. Like I said, the idea was for us to see the pros and the cons of living and staying. People need to know these things. You guys have done a fantastic job. There's one thing I say, if you think that there's no problem with many times you want to say people are running away. It's not they're running away. I mean, everybody will still be in their village. Everybody should go back to their village and not move to the city or move to Lagos or Abuja if it is really, but people want to do well and give themselves more opportunities. But I think one thing that was major here is to ensure that we give back. We make sure that where we are from, there's a reason why we are Nigerians. I mean, that was God's decision for us. So we should be concerned with its development. We should be concerned with its moving forward. So before we, I hope you guys can see my screen. Before we go, we'll take that final poll. I'll just, Pastor Dami, you can follow him on Instagram. Pastor Damilola Oluwatoyinbo, he did a fantastic job on to leave Nigeria or not to leave Nigeria. And he said, if you decide to leave, in summary of all the things that we have discussed, sometimes you decide, it really depends on you. And I think that's something that everybody has said, it really depends on you. Number one, if you decide to leave Nigeria, do it from a place of personal conviction, and not just because of everybody is doing it and what is good for one may not be good for another. Number two, he said, ensure you are not only riding on passion or on frustration. Yeah, if those are your primary or only drivers, those things may wear out with time. and you may be surprised. Number 3, seek God's face to ensure that you're in line with His will. He knows the past, present, and future, and can tell you exactly what to do, where and when, how to be. Be sensitive to His instructions. Number 4, exit Nigeria and enter the country of your dreams legally. This is so important, so that you don't become trapped in it and you can be free to travel. And that's why I really like this conversation, because the truth, sometimes when we're just saying leave Nigeria, it's not easy to leave Nigeria. It's not as easy as people think. It takes mental, financial, academical, that's why it's called the brain drain, right? Number 5, be very strategic and intentional with your preparation process. Consult those that have gone ahead, let them give you details of their own transition experiences so that you don't get shocked about the realities. 2 more things. If you decide to leave Nigeria, keep your ties and some investments in Nigeria. Things can still turn for the better, and it can happen much faster than we can even project. Don't cut your friends and family in Nigeria and say, to hell with Nigeria. That is not a wise thing to do. You may need them more than you think, and they may need you too. Number 7, get wise and trusted advisors and mentors you can reach out for advice, perspective, prayers, and encouragement from time to time. So basically, you have to keep in touch. You have to keep in touch with what's going on in Nigeria. So, but what if you decide to stay in Nigeria? People need to know that Nigeria is now in a place where you are deciding to stay. You are not staying in Nigeria because you are Nigerian. No. The earth is the Lord's. Don't make anybody make you feel bad. All right. So that's up to you as well, right? But the thing is, decide. But I advise you to pay attention to these things. Okay. So look at this. Number 1, face the reality. Based on historical trends, facts, even looking at the outcome of the last election, there might not be any widespread transformation for another 12 years. And this is not being pessimistic, right? That's a detailed analysis there, but there may not be widespread transformation in the next 12 years. Face that reality. Number 2, know what you are doing. You cannot afford to just float, fantasize, drift around with false hope. What are you doing? What are you working on? What are you building? What are you investing in? What sectors are you considering? What's your end game? End game is not only for those leaving, end game is also for those staying. Number 3, seek God's face to ensure that you are not suffering in the name of solidarity. Are you called to Nigeria? Some people will ask, is Nigeria called to Nigeria? Because some people say, it's the white men that put it together. But that's a story for another day. If so, what are the details of that assignment? How long is it? Lifelong or seasonal? Have a plan. Number 4, build microsystems and leverage on macro systems. You can't leave your life to the mercies of an ecosystem that's struggling to support itself. Some aspects of the Nigerian system are functional, but most are dysfunctional. Find out how you can create microsystems. But they talked about that, being your government, with the goal of expanding them to benefit others where possible. 3 more points. Number 5, invest in people. TJ is an excellent person at investing in people. Pour into people, build teams, volunteer for value-adding programs and projects. Nigeria is made up of people. You don't change nations. You influence people who can change their nation together. Number 6, fix your finances. I saw somebody in the chat talking about saving in dollars. Remember that you are your own local government and you need money to do all the things you need to do. Invest in learning how to make your money work in Nigeria. Know the right skills to acquire. Skills are becoming global. Online skills, LinkedIn, several IT skills. Don't waste time gathering certificates that have nothing to do with the course of your life. One major skill also is networking. Number 7, very important, pray and get closer to God. You are living in a system that can rubbish the best of people. So it's not even about competence anymore. Without God's backing, your best plans may still be endangered. So what's your decision? Is really, really up to you. I hope you have been equipped to take the best decision. So we're going to take that second poll now. Like I said, this research was done by Damilola Oluwatoyinbo. I can send the entire PDF to you if you send me an email. My email is you can reach us at realtalkwithideal@gmail.com or iyawi.idahosa@gmail.com. I will send you this PDF, but I'd rather send it via WhatsApp because it's really huge. So let's get more information to take better decisions, right? And another thing I'll say is So we're going to do this again. We do this every second and fourth Saturday of the month. And we're looking at, we're going to have another exciting topic on the second Saturday of June. I want you guys to jump in. That one, I'm still yet to decide how it's going to go, but I'm sure we're going to do Meet the Singles like we did last time. It was really, really an amazing time. So we're going to do the polls again. Now let's see whether people are going to react differently. Okay. So please, I need everybody to jump on this poll. Nigeria to leave or to stay? To leave, to stay, not sure. All right, everybody, please jump in. 9 people to go. I have 76% compliance. I need more people to jump in. Have 9, great. All right, I'm about to end the poll now. And let's see the results of this poll. I think the first time we did it, the result was 70% to leave. Am I correct? It was 70%. So let's hope that this conversation has helped to give us some more perspective. Drum roll. Yay, 77% to leave, 14% to stay, and 9% not sure. All right, don't worry. I want to assure you that this wasn't conducted by INEC. This was iDeal NEC. All right, so guys, I want to say thank you for coming. Let's do this again. Second Saturday of June and the fourth Saturday of June. Thank you, guys. Thank you all our panelists, Marina, Tombari, TJ, Onome, Bade. Thank you all for coming. God bless you and see you again. Thank you.
Hey there, thank you for making it to this point of the video. You have watched it. I hope it was good. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And let's get your feedback. Was it real? Was it too ideal? Whatever. We would like to hear from you and get with your feedback, get your comments. If you haven't filled the link or subscribed to this channel, please do that. And when you fill the link, we'll give you information how you can jump on the live show, make your contributions. We want to learn from you. We want to hear from you. Thank you for being here. Keep coming back. We will have some exciting topics for you. Trust me. Have a wonderful time. See you again.